Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to. It's Bushka on Blitz here, back with a little more love for all you lovely people. I'm in the dress blues, as you can see there. I'm getting the camo on all these tanks. I love them. In a training room on the Asia server with my good mate RichliecaMp, one of the Grump boys. This is about camo. It's really about something that I see a lot of people miss, especially at the end of games. And I want to do a quick explanation on that. We're also going to have a look at something to do with spotting. We're going to have a look at the way you should be using different types of ammunition on different kinds of armor and side scraping. Just a real refresher course. Now you can see there I'm using the tree. Trust me when I say that I have been dropped right back to camo here. Now you'll see if you pull back to the point where they're just a red outline and you can't actually see any vehicle details, you lose a lot of the ability to aim at weak points and such. But what you also do is gain the ability to fire from stealth, and if you're far enough away, they won't see you. You won't pop. And that's because when you're behind the tree like this, it's acting as a much bigger multiplier on your camo rating. When you're close to the tree, the camo rating is not big enough for your camo to maintain once you've fired the shot. However, if you pull back, and the secret here and the trick is, when you look at it, the trick is to actually see their outline only. You can't really see any of the details of the tank. And as that fades, and the outline fades, and it becomes just that big red silhouette, that's how you know you're going to be safe. Now, of course, it doesn't work from all distances. If you're close enough to them, the multiplier won't be enough that they will be able to see you. But it's effective at the end of games when there's a couple of tanks left. You're in a medium tank and you're behind a bush and you make a spot. Don't fire immediately. Back up so that you're far enough away that they go into a silhouette, and then take your shot, and they won't be able to get a shot back in return. And I'll show you what I mean by if you're far enough away. You'll see we can get the same effect here. Even when you're this far away, I am actually visible to Rich now on the camo, obviously. If I back away so that he becomes just a silhouette, then we're both going to drop. And look how close we are. We are absolutely well within view range. But we're going to drop off the radar because the tree multiplier from bushes and camo and such is enormous. And it will actually let you drop off the radar completely if you go far enough away. You can do the same kind of thing with fallen trees and such. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about ammo types, and particularly about HE. There's a lot of misnomers out there and people don't really understand how it all works. This is the IS-3 Defender as driven by Rich, and we're going to be using heat just to show you, that's very simple. AP, APCR, heat, they all go through. There's not much spaced armor and such on the side of this tank, and there's enough penetration to get through it. So it's not going to be ideal, and I'll show you a little bit more with the E100 later. But what I really want to show you here is a shot that I sometimes take with high explosive. Now, it looks like you can't hit the sides there, it's red, but you can get nearly a full roll with high explosive by shooting between the wheels. There is actually a gap there. If you shoot between the wheels on a track, under the track, you will do full damage or near enough. If, however, you hit the track itself, and it's a very, very narrow thing in a very narrow field, then you'll do next to no damage. And you can see here, completely different result. And we've only moved it up a little bit. You'll note, though, that we did actually blow the track. Now, the way HE works is it will hit its target. Now, if it doesn't penetrate, it will then spread outwards and it will splash. Now, dark red, very, very low damage. Deep yellow, higher damage because the splash is better, and nearly completely grey, just about a full damage roll. So when you are firing HE, try to find areas that are close to yellow, very light yellow, or that go close to areas that are actually penetration values. Now, this is the E100, and this is an interesting beast if you're firing HE. The reason that I say that is because even though it's yellow, and I do say you should be firing your HE at yellow areas because you're more likely to do splash damage, you're not going to do any damage whatsoever. Because the way high explosive works is when it hits, it splashes outwards wherever. And if you have a module in the way, the module will absorb whatever amount of damage is left, so to speak, until you break the module, and then if there's more damage left or kinetic energy or whatever you call it, it'll keep going. But even if you penetrate here, there is a module there. There is the tracks, and the tracks will absorb damage. So you fire HE at a track, then it is going to absorb that high explosive. It's one of the reasons why high explosive is so great, and I carry some on my mediums for tracking tanks in a must-track situation, because if you hit a track with high explosive, it all gets absorbed by the module itself. However, when you're dealing with spaced armor, which is basically a armor profile, then air, and then another bit of armor, and on the E100 you'll be dealing with the skirting armor on the side, then the track, and then the interior side armor of the tank itself, it kills high explosive anti-tank fire, or doesn't kill it, but it makes it harder to penetrate with heat, and it certainly destroys good quality high explosive rounds, because it sucks all that. Even if you can penetrate the skirting armor, and even if theoretically you had enough penetration value on, say, Hesh or something like that, which has 200 millimeters of penetration on the higher tiered British tanks, you then have to go through the track as well. And because it's a module, and modules absorb the damage rolls from high explosive shells, then it's just not going to happen. So anytime you see a tank like the E100, the IS-7, parts of the Object 704, the IS-3, the IS-8, the Mouse, these guys are not tanks that you want to fire heat or high explosive into the sides of. Now, if they're very flat, heat may have enough pen to get through, but if they're not, you're going to struggle. Now, this is side scraping. I get asked this all the time. You can see Hoodie is at an angle to that building. He is going backwards and forwards, and he is angled at such an angle, I love saying angle, that his effective armor is too high for me to penetrate. I'm either going to bounce off because it's an auto bounce area, or I just physically can't penetrate that much armor with the shell penetration that I have on the gun. And that's why side scraping and angling is so bloody important. The best I can hope to do here is just track him and move backwards and then try and get a shot at his lower glacis. Of course, when I fire, Hoodie, being a good player, will be able to pull back, turn his gun towards me and hit me. Now finally, guys, this is very straightforward. It's all been very straightforward. But I mean, I think it's something that's going to help people, and I get so many people asking for the basics. View range and camo. The E100 has horrific camo. It has horrific camo. The T110E5 has better camo than that. We have, therefore, I'll see the E100 first before he sees me. Now, I've fired a shot there, so I should be popping, and he's fired a shot to become visible, but no. Because his camo is so bad and mine is better, at extreme edge of view range stuff, he won't see me and I will see him. So that's sometimes why at the end of a match you really should be looking for a good safe spot where you have excellent camouflage and you can ambush from, because the enemy are more than likely going to be moving around, and if they're in a heavy, a medium or a TD, their on the move camo rating will be pants, and you'll be able to see them first and get that key shot in. Of course, if they're in a light tank and they're moving around, all bets are off, because the light tank camo is insane. Now, I want to show you what we were talking about before as we leave in practice. You'll see, I see that J Panther. I could shoot him right there. I don't. I'm going to move behind the bush in front of me, because putting the bush between me and him then means I can fire, shoot the target, no light bulb. And that's, you know, I then get to drive around the back and have my merry way because I was smart enough to move 10 feet to my right. And that's all I did. And it was not rocket science at all. It's just an understanding of the game mechanics and how it works. So guys, I'm Bushka on Blitz. As always, you're wonderful human beings. I appreciate the support. There's lots of people sponsoring the channel now. Don't think you can stop. Keep sponsoring the channel so I can keep making videos and streaming and having a good time with the rest of you. I'm really passionate about it. I love so much that there is this brilliant community building up around us, and I'm really privileged to be a part of it. So until next time, stay safe on the battlefield.